This is a Corsa DE. I call it the DE really because, well, it is the same shape as a D, but Vauxhall for whatever reason decided to call it the E, and then they called the new shape the E also, which totally makes sense. So it's currently raining, as you would expect, here in sunny North Wales. That doesn't affect me anyways, because we're going to go for a drive in this thing anyways. And I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of the Corsa D E. It's not even my car, it's a courtesy car. You guys will also have to apologise for the state that the car is currently in. So, this is a 19 plate Corsa. It's a 1.4 non-turbo variant, so just a basic model base. Well, I say basic, it's not entirely budget spec, but they call it a sport. So it has sporty accents like the red trimming and the red stitching on the seats. Comfy seats, may I add, but it's that comfy, obviously, that it can get quite uncomfortable after a little while. You've got stainless accent, you've got a touchscreen there for your satellite navigation, your music, although that is brilliant, except that speaker over there is blown. And like I say, it's only a couple of years old. Decent sized door bin for your bottle of water. And as every typical Corsa D is, considering the size of the car, it has a decent sized luggage capacity on the boot. And because it's built in Spain, they decided to put the bonnet release over there in the corner. I mean, it doesn't even say Ecotech on it, but this just shows how cheap that these cars are. And it is only a cheap Connor box. I mean, someone's already had a little bumper to bumper action on this car, but normally on the backs of the cars you'd have these drop down boxes and whatever for your tools. Unfortunately, these just pull off, and I was expecting to find a possible price tag or something on there for a second then. But that's where you get all your tools from anyways. They're on the side of the car in the boot, and you have to really hit them on. And on this side, well, it says first aid, but it really isn't. It's just a storage box. I wouldn't really know what you'd put in there other than possibly an air compressor. Now, I'm not going to diss this Corsa an awful lot in this video because it does serve its purpose. A spare car or a shopping trolley or something that's just an A to B type of car. It is perfect for that. And considering it's a 2019, I'm very surprised it still has rear drums on the back, but that is actually a positive than it is a minus, because well, some kid's going to own this one day, isn't he? And well, it has a physical handbrake, which is a godsend in this car, because most cars these days have actually lost the handbrake, but this still has a handbrake. So the fact it's got drums, someone one day will be having fun in this car. I can't really slag the car off too much. It's done the job for me so far. I've done about 1,500 miles in it since I lost my insignia, because the engine went on it with a chain. Which reminds me, I believe this engine is also chain driven as well. And also, it doesn't have a little tiny pea shooter on the back, it just has a normal exhaust. But I don't think it's a standard exhaust. It looks, I don't know what you guys think, but it doesn't look normal to me. I'm sure they're supposed to have a different type of tip on the back, but hey, I can't complain. It's got tinted windows on the back. It's not a bad looking car, it's quite charming for what it is. It's got alloy wheels. The black looks nice when it's polished, apart from the accidental bump on the back that some other person did in this courtesy car. But I think it's now time to take this car for a little drive. Now, getting into the car, nice wide opening doors, handy for if, well, you're not in a parking spot, because if you're in a parking place it can become troublesome to get in, especially if you're at a supermarket or something like that. But otherwise it does the job. It's quite comfy, like I say, to sit in. You can easily get your driving position altered with the seat going up and down. You've got the cog to alter your posture in the seat, as well as adjusting the placement of the steering wheel. You've got a 5-speed gearbox with reverse, obviously. You've got a cigarette lighter socket there. You've got a USB plug in there. Also, you have 2 cup holders. You've got another 2 cup holders you could possibly fit here, but you've got also decent sized door bins in this car as well. And it also has, which is quite cool actually, and I do like this. I tried it out one morning when the car was completely frozen. You have a heated windscreen. And I don't mean heated in a way that a fan alters to the windscreen like most cars. That's not what I'm on about. It's actually got little lines in the window, and it's electrically operated, which means that it defrosts within minutes. I average between 35 and 40 to the gallon in this car. The worst I've ever had out of it was probably about 30, but that was because I was at a standstill when it was cold and I left the heaters on. But otherwise, nice little car. Now, this isn't my first 1.4 Corsa DE I've ever driven, because a mate of mine had, and I might have told you about this car before, the same 1.4 engine in a Corsa D in black, coincidentally, but that was an SXI, and it was an 08 model, and I was pretty peppy. And this is no exception. This is actually pretty nippy for a 1.4. Considering the engine that's in this is from the same engine that was in the Mark V Astra H that we had. And I say had because if you haven't watched one of the last videos, and you have watched this channel before, then you would have known that we've actually sold that Astra H now, and it is now gone. Also, I ought to apologise as well in this video if I sound like I'm croaking up or I'm coughing a lot. It's not because I've got COVID. I've actually got an ulcer in the back of my throat, which of course you guys need to know. But I'm not dying, it's just I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. Whoever's going to get this car back is going to be delighted that the previous person who'd driven it was ill driving it. That says a lot about the car. I mean, pottering around, it's a nice, comfortable car. You've got a city button on the left-hand side of the dashboard, which alters the steering, so that if you are in a tight parking place, or you're just in a tight city area even, you can press that button and the steering becomes so incredibly light you can turn it with just your little pinky. If you've got about 15 grand to buy a new car, which I'm sure a basic model of this, that'll be how much it's worth, 15 grand or something about that, then hey, I can't really argue. I mean, my mum had a 1.2 version of these, and it was just so slow, it was horrendous. I can't even believe that they had the audacity to put a 1 litre non-turbo in one of these, let alone a 1.2. I mean, the 1.2 did its job for what it was. Yeah, just as a car to get you to A to B, well, sort of reliably. I won't say comfortably because you had to bring its neck, much like what I'm doing today. But I mean, this 1.4 is pretty up and going. It does the job. It's not bad on fuel either, and the power it's non-existent, but it's enough for the size of the car. It's adequate is the word. Now, for a sport as well, the fact they had the audacity to call it a sport. It's nothing sporty at all. I mean, the power is a little bit, put my foot down, it moves type of thing. And it does corner reasonably okay, but it wallows. It wobbles side to side all of the time. I suppose sport is just a trim level these days. That's why you've got these red accents across the dash, the red stitching, the red seats, the black tinted windows, and the LED daytime running lights, perhaps. Maybe that's what it is. But nothing whilst driving this, it doesn't feel sporty at all. I mean, I accidentally went over one of those hidden types of country bridges going towards where my partner lives, And I completely forgot that there was a dip in the road. And when I went over it and I realised, I thought, oh shit, I'm going to damage the car here. But I tell you what, the springs must extend to quite a long way, because I mean, even going over some of these harsh bumps, my Insignia would be quite, you know, it'd be quite firm about it. With this car, it's quite comfy. It's like being on a soft sponge. I mean, I suppose that's what I can call this car, is a soft sponge. You know, it is soft. And, yeah, it is playful. But I suppose I can't really knock it too much for its comfort, because it isn't always about speed and performance and handling and all that sort. You know, you can get quite a comfortable car, and I suppose that's what a lot of cars these days forget about. They're all about sport, handling, performance, and that type of thing. My only problem with this is they called it the Sport. And it isn't. It's just a comfortable little city car. That's all it is. You know, okay, they couldn't call it like the City Go, like like Skoda have with their Up type of thing, but you know, it's comfortable. In fact, I'm sure the Corsa Cs used to have a comfort model. I mean, why wouldn't they call it that? There's also one annoying little thing about this car that I really hate. Sometimes, when you're driving, you just fancy driving with the music off. Obviously, you tend to notice noises, especially on a car that's this new. And my mum's Corsa had this same issue, where you'd press the clutch pedal, and as you're lifting it back up, it tends to squeak. I mean, come on. I mean, my mum's Corsa was a 2010. This is 9 years newer. And it still has the same thing. And to be fair, it isn't a bad looking car. From the front, it isn't a bad looking car. From the back, it just looks like a normal Corsa D. And that still bugs me. I wonder why Vauxhall called this the Corsa E. I get that they made a facelift of the Corsa D, but couldn't they have made another facelift of the Corsa D? If they wanted to, instead of calling this the Corsa E and the new Corsas, which look completely different. In fact, we actually parked the Mark V Astra next to one about a year ago, and it's exactly the same size as the Astra. You know, it's like, well, I always say this to a lot of people. The new Mocha for Vauxhall, they call it the Mocha E. Now, someone from head office must have wondered if they said it too quickly, it would sound like mockery. Are Vauxhall, the people who own Vauxhall now, which is PSA, are they making a mockery of Vauxhall? Because it certainly fucking sounds like it. Excuse me, French. Oh, a big yellow school bus is just pulling in front of me because they can. Not prioritising the children in terms of safety, but prioritising the fact that they are late to go back to school. But if you guys are after a Corsa DE, then, you know, I can't really fault it. So long as you don't get the 1.2, which is horrendous. I mean, it does the job, but it is just woeful in terms of performance. And if you want a car that's just going to be good as a runaround, something that's going to get you to A to B reliably, but with plenty of poke, and to be fair, decent fuel economy, get yourself the 1.4 or the turbo variants. Because I tell you what else I like about this car, and I am rambling on to loads of mini things now, but you don't actually get a gauge for fuel. You actually get bars, a bit like how you would do in a a Peugeot or a Citroen. Does that ring any bells where this car comes from? Peugeot. The gearbox feels quite nice. I've got 2 bars of fuel, which I know will get me quite a bit. And what I am surprised is most Corsa Ds don't even have an intelligent sort of screen on them, even though they were built in the era of the Mark VI Astra, which is the one that I had. And this tells you tyre pressure gauges and all sorts of your oil, whereas the old ones didn't. That's an improvement, although it's a couple of years too late for that improvement. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. This might even be the last video that I do of the Corsa. Not that I made many of it, but hopefully I'll get mine back soon. It needs a clean, obviously, but you know, it doesn't have any lights in here either, does it? No lights in the sun visors either, but I can't complain. You can feel it in the plastics and the roof liner that it's definitely made out of cheaper recycled items. It's a good little car. It's getting me to A to B quite reliably, quite comfortably as well. Anyways, guys, that is the review of the Corsa DE. I'm going to need to go and get a drink now because, yeah, throat's killing right now from talking too much. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, why not leave it a like and subscribe. And keep watching my videos. Click the bell icon in the top corner of your screen and you'll be notified of any videos that I make in the future or at present. Maybe I'm making another one at the time of this video, I'm not sure. Anyways, guys, take care and I'll see you guys in the next one. Carry you home.